Just woke up to the footage of the ICE agents at the airport. Yeah, watching the news, and they got all these ICE agents. And the only thing I can say is, woo, them brothers is fine. Them brothers is fine, honey. I am so glad they had no mask on because now we can see these they some cutie patooties. Oh my goodness. Did you see the one with the dreads? Oh my, I was like, honey, he can TSA me. I ain't from here. I ain't from here. Come get me. Come get me, please. Honey, he could handcuffs. You wanna child, they find in a mug. And people was shocked to see it, because they be wearing the mask and everything, and the news be trying to make it out like they some horrible people, some mask horrible men. But then they took their mask off, baby, and they was walking around like, yeah, we TSA, baby. What you need? What you want? You want me? And I was like, yeah, I do.
So apparently, we reached the point in this country where ICE agents are now thirst traps. I'm not even joking. That's where we are now. You got federal immigration officers doing their job, enforcing the law. And instead of people talking about the policy, the border, or what's actually happening, we got viral clips of people reacting like it's a dating show. You wake up, you're scrolling, you see the video going around, and this woman is watching the ICE agents at the airport. Instead of asking what's going on or why they're there, she's over here talking about them brothers is fine. Going on and on and on, as you guys can see, and how good they look, saying that they can TSA her, right? And I'm saying like, yo, what am I watching right now? And listen, I'm not gonna lie, it's funny, it's humor, it is. She wild, she's animated, she's doing the most. You can't help but laugh at how over the top it is. She's a mess and a half, straight up. But at the same time, underneath all of the humor, there's actually something deeper going on here that people are just completely missing, because what she accidentally highlights without even trying is how the media has spent years trying to paint ICE agents as these evil, shadowy figures hiding behind masks doing something sinister. And that's been the narrative pushed over and over again. But then the masks come off. People actually see these agents as regular human beings, and suddenly the tone changes. Now it's jokes, now it's admiration, now it's, oh, wait, they're not what I thought. And that right there tells you everything you need to know about how narratives work in this country, because we're not just talking about a funny viral clip. We're talking about how law enforcement is betrayed, how immigration is discussed, and how quickly public perception can flip based on something as superficial as appearance. And that's a problem. So, yeah, we can laugh a little bit because you can't not laugh at this, right? The humor of this lady is crazy, but also we're gonna break this down and talk about what's really going on, because the bigger issue here that people are ignoring, and we got a lot to get into. So hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and now I want you guys to check this out.
What we mean when we say all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Because y'all, ICE agents don't have their mask on in the airports today. And the amount of black and brown ICE agents I've seen, Lord. Exhibit B. Exhibit C right here. Like, I know things are rough, but out of all of the government jobs that y'all could get, as people of color, y'all couldn't pick something else. I don't know. It's not doing it for me.
If you are mad at black ICE agents, then you should be mad at all black law enforcement too. Black police officers, black detectives, black state troopers, black corrections officers, black crime scene investigators, black border patrol agents, black U.S. Marshals, black FBI agents, black DEA agents. Because guess what? They all work in law enforcement just like the ICE agents you are upset about. So if your anger is real, don't pick on just ICE agents. Be mad at all black law enforcement doing their jobs. Hypocrite.
All right, now let's get into this part, right? Because this is where the hypocrisy really starts to show itself. Because in this clip, as you guys see, the argument shifts from jokes to identity politics real quick. Now it's, oh, look at all these black and brown ICE agents. And suddenly that's a problem. Now it's, y'all couldn't pick a different job. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, I thought representation was the goal. I thought the whole argument from the left for years has been that we need more diversity in government, more diversity in law enforcement, more diversity in every institution in this country. And this is what we've been told over and over again. But now that you can actually see it, now that you see black and brown agents in ICE doing the job, now it's an issue. Now it's Exhibit BC, right? Like they're doing something wrong just for showing up to work. So now you got exhibits, Exhibit B and Exhibit C. Like seriously? That doesn't make any sense. And this is exactly why I say these people are hypocrites, because the standard changes depending on the narrative they're trying to push. If this were any other agency, they'll be celebrating it. They'll be saying, look at the diversity, look at the representation. This is progress. But because it's ICE, because it's an agency that enforces immigration law, something the Democrat Party and mainstream liberal media have spent years demonizing, now all of a sudden, those same individuals they claim to support are being criticized for doing their jobs. And here's the reality that nobody wants to say out loud. If you're mad about black ICE agents, then you need to keep the same energy across the board, which is she's saying in this video. And that's the message I get from what she's being relayed, right? Because if you're mad at ICE agents who are basically another form of law enforcement, then are you mad at black police officers, black detectives, black state troopers, black correction officers, black crime scene investigators, et cetera, like she just mentioned, right? Because guess what? They're all our law enforcement. They're all are enforcing laws. So what exactly is the difference? The difference is political. That's it. That's what it comes off as divisive it is, which I hate. The division, man. And the difference is which agency fits the narrative and which one doesn't, it seems like. And what you're seeing right here is what happens when reality clashes with the narrative people have been fed. Because a lot of folks have been told by Democrats, by the mainstream liberal media, that ICE and Border Patrol are full of nothing but racist, white supremacist people targeting minorities. And that's the story they've been pushing. But then you see all the actual agents and that narrative starts to fall apart. Now you got to explain why there are so many black and brown agents working in those roles instead of correcting the narrative. Instead of admitting maybe they were wrong, they doubled down and started attacking those individuals instead. That's not about principle. That's about protecting the narrative. And that's a problem because it just shows people aren't thinking critically. They're just repeating what they've been told. These folks are in their feelings right now, but the reality is simple. These are American jobs doing a job. I mean, these are Americans doing a job, enforcing laws that exist. And just because it doesn't fit the political story you've been sold doesn't make it wrong. It just exposes the contradiction, as she just said in this video. Now, let's take this a step further, because this isn't just about a viral video or people arguing online. This ties directly into what's actually happening at the policy level. And the real question nobody on the left seems to want to answer is this: why aren't Democrats coming to the table in good faith and doing what needs to be done to actually fix the problem? Right? So now I want you guys to check out the clip.
Well, we just got some breaking news here at the White House. President Trump says that he is going to sign an executive order ordering the DHS secretary to pay TSA agents during this partial government shutdown. We've all been talking about this. TSA workers have been going without pay now for more than 40 days because Democrats and Republicans cannot agree on how to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Meanwhile, those ICE agents who are there, well, they are getting paid. There's big questions about why the president or the administration waited so long to do this if they have the authority to do it. And there's questions too about what authority they have, where this money is coming from. And if Republicans support this, why they didn't do this in the first place over on Capitol Hill. This is just a temporary solution. Democrats and Republicans need to come together and make a deal.
And like I said, I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. The question is, why aren't Democrats coming to the table in good faith and doing what needs to be done to actually fix the problem? That's the question. Because if this issue is so serious, if immigration enforcement is such a big deal, then why does it always turn into political games instead of real solutions? And the answer, whether people want to admit it or not, is that there is a political incentive to keep things broken. Democrats rely heavily on the support of the working class. They rely on the people feeling economic pressure, instability, frustration, because that creates an opportunity for them to step in and position themselves as the solution, as the savior. That's their strategy. But at this point, people aren't falling for it anymore. And maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump actually signing an executive order to get TSA agents paid, and you're basically saying why he didn't do this all along. Well, maybe if he did do it so quickly, then people won't really see Democrats for who they are. And then on top of that, it's still temporary because they still have to continue to negotiate to come to a bill and pass the bill to continue to fund long-term TSA. But like I said, with the Democrats, it has happened and shown that the mask is off. See, if you sit there and you try to continue to cover up for somebody nonsense, they will never be able to be held accountable for the ignorance and let alone the things that they do because it's constantly being covered up by someone else continue to relieve the situation to where you cannot even see individuals for who they are. I'll give you an example. If someone always do something wrong, such as a family member that you care about, right? They steal. But you are the individual that continues to take the fault to cover up because you care about them so much. But they don't even care about themselves or love themselves enough to stop stealing, let alone take accountability so they can learn from the first time. So you as a family member don't really love them because there's a such thing as tough love. Because if you really love them, love actually deals with the reality of truth, and truth is love, and love is truth. And to love in truth is genuinely to care with someone, even if it going past emotions and going past emotions and feelies, but actually having the best interest of a person, right? Saving them for themselves. But if you continue to take cover for that family member and they keep on stealing, then you would nobody would never they will never ever be held accountable. You will never see them as a stealer they are that continues to actually commit theft because they've been absolved constantly and you come in and swoop and save the day every single time. Right? So that doesn't really fix the problem. So maybe Donald Trump actually just waited to come to a deal, which would make sense long term just to keep TSA funded. We never have to come to this issue again. But the Democrats aren't coming in good faith, which is the real question. But also, Donald Trump needs the American people to see who these individuals are, who they are, because they don't come off as what they say they are, but their actions say different than what they do when it comes to these Democrats, right? So folks are starting to see exactly what's going on, and they're realizing who is actually causing the problems and who is talking about them. And you see it play out in situations like these government standoffs and shutdowns. This isn't new. This is the second shutdown situation in a year where everything grinds to a halt because Democrats refuse to negotiate unless they get exactly what they want. And that's not how government is supposed to work. That's not leadership, that's political hostage taking. Meanwhile, you got real people affected by it. You got federal workers, TSA agents, law enforcement personnel, hundreds of thousands of people caught in the middle of this nonsense, just trying to do their jobs and provide for their families. And instead of Congress doing what they're supposed to do, coming together, negotiating, finding a solution, they're playing games. So what happens? The president steps in and say, yes, enough is enough. If Congress isn't doing their job, then action has to be taken to make sure essential workers are taken care of, to make sure the system keeps moving, to make sure those roughly 260,000 TSA related personnel and others impacted aren't left hanging because of political dysfunction. So yes, obviously Donald Trump is coming in and saying, look, enough is enough. Y'all playing too many games. We got to help the people, the American people. And that's what this really comes down to. It's not about narratives. It's not about viral clips. It's about whether or not the people in power are actually willing to govern responsibly. And right now, what we're seeing is a refusal on one side to engage in good faith, and American people are the ones paying the price for it. Now, let's talk about something that people really don't want to address, right? Because this is where it stops being funny and starts getting serious real quick. Because when you look at these airports and you see the massive TSA lines wrapped around the building, stretching out into parking areas, people just standing there packed together. That's not just inconvenient, that's a security risk. That is what you call a soft target, right? So I want you guys to check out this clip.
What do you know? The Democrats have put together a little smear campaign against Black Americans who are federal ICE agents. Yep. The moment Trump mentioned he was deploying ICE agents to the airport, they freaked out. They freaked out because, oh shit, should we go ahead and fund him? Because now he's going to take our precious little illegal immigrants up out of here. So what they did, they went into their little back room and devised a plan. Well, let's smear the Black agents that's there. And if you go on Twitter, there are several accounts that post pictures of Black ICE agents saying, I really don't like this site. This site makes me sick to my stomach. This is not right. Let me tell you what's right. Black Americans protecting the land, the country that their ancestors built from illegal immigrants. Yup, the same illegal immigrants who come to this country illegally, exploit the Black civil rights movement to get what they want, get what they need, and then take the position of the white man and discriminate against Black Americans. The Latinos in California are the biggest racists you ever want to meet, but I digress. Shout out to the Black men and women who are gainfully employed to enforce the immigration laws of this country and keep our citizens safe. Thank you.
All right. So if you understand anything about how terrorism works, you already know they don't typically go after hardened, heavily secured targets. They look for vulnerabilities. They look for large groups of people in predictable, unprotected situations. And that's exactly what you create when you allow these kinds of conditions to exist at major transportation hubs. Now, on top of that, we have to deal with the reality of what's happening at the border over the past several years. Because the previous administration, which was the Biden administration, allowed a massive influx of people to come in this country with little to no proper vetting in many cases. And that's not even a controversial statement. That's been widely reported. And when you combine that with what we already know from intelligence and law enforcement sources, that there are thousands of potential threats, including known or suspected terrorist actors who have either entered or attempted to enter this country, it creates a situation where you cannot afford to be careless about security. You just can't. And yet, here we are with policies and political decisions that have led to overcrowded airports, strained TSA resources, and conditions that make it easier for something bad to happen. And that's the part that should concern every single American, regardless of political affiliation. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about left versus right. This is about safety. When you have lines wrapping around buildings full of travelers who are just trying to get from point A to point B, you are creating an environment that could be exploited. And again, terrorists don't look for the hardest target in the room. They look for the easiest one. They look for the place where people are exposed, where security is stretched thin, and where response time could be delayed. And long TSA lines like the ones we are seeing or were seeing. Thank God for Trump sending ICE agents there, and now things just seem to be moving way more smoother. However, that fits the description perfectly with the TSA lines being long. So while people are online joking, making memes, talking about how agents look and all of this other nonsense, the real issue is being ignored. The real issue is that poor policy decisions and lack of proper enforcement can create serious vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities have real world consequences. And that's the part we need to be focused on. But anyway, let's keep going.
Well, I knew them Democrats was gonna go crazy behind this. I just knew it.
Get ICE the hell out of our airports.
Hasn't ICE always been in airports? Like when you come in from another country, don't you have to go check with ICE first before you proceed?
Donald Trump has brought chaos into our airport in New Jersey.
That looks real chaotic right there. Sure do. How are these people even surviving right now? All that chaoticness.
Democrats have said over and over again, please fund TSA.
Yeah, but Democrats lie a lot, you know? We don't look at what you say, we look at your actions. And being that you have the government closed, you guys have the government closed. We don't believe you.
We will not block that. All Donald Trump has to say is yes.
Yes to giving you guys back your fraud money. Yes to using our tax dollars to help illegal immigrants. Yes to a bunch of bullshit that is not American. So yeah, no.
This is an outrage. We should not have an agency that America doesn't trust.
Well, America trusts them, baby. It's only the anti-American people that don't trust them. The criminals that don't trust them. The people committing fraud that don't trust them. The people that are hurting kids that don't trust them.
An agency that literally has seen violence against Americans.
Violence that Americans caused by being in places they shouldn't have been, doing things that were against the law because they were not protesting peacefully.
Tearing apart American families and arresting and detaining Americans.
Do I sing, you're lying again? Oh, baby, you're lying again.
And violating due process rights and civil rights.
There goes that civil rights.
Come to their airports.
Those are our airports. Those are our airports. Thanks.
Who have no training or specified skills to do the jobs.
Ooh, controlling lines takes special skills.
Who are now about to go without their second paycheck.
We know you don't care. Do I have to put AOC's video where she said y'all didn't hurt us enough the first time?
This is mismanagement.
More like delusion by Democrats.
This is corruption.
Democrats trying to hide their corruption.
This is trying to use innocent people as a pawn in a very awful political game.
Democrats are weak, and that next time we just need to hurt working people and working Americans more.
Straight out the bitch's mouth. Okay.
Wow. She was cooking, man. I'm talking about oven, air fryer. She called it what it is and what it was, man. She is like that auntie that ain't gonna play no games because she was on point. Because what she said cuts straight through all the noise, right? She basically lays it out. These Democrats are not what they claim to be. They present themselves one way, but their actions tell a completely different story. And that's what people mean when they say wolves in sheep clothing, right? And look, I know some people don't like hearing that, but at a certain point, you have to stop listening to what politicians say and start watching what they do because the pattern is there. You got folks like Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, AOC, who has literally said things that imply more pressure, more hardship is somehow part of the political strategy. And it makes you wonder, how much more are the American people supposed to take? At what point do we stop and say this isn't working? Because I've always believed this. If you let people talk long enough, they will tell you how they are. My father always told me that all the time. You don't have to guess. You don't have to read between the lines. Eventually it comes out, especially when they're cornered to the simple fact where they have to express it no other way than directly to let you know who they are. And thank goodness for Donald Trump sitting here and actually holding these people accountable and actually showing with substantial evidence to show the fraud that's taken place, right? But the very thing is, it tells you that the individuals that can oppress the working class people obviously show you that they're not really there to help you, because as long as they can oppress you when things don't go their way and sit there and control you as if you're some bot and Voltron you basically to do things to their liking, it's narcissistic vibes, right? It's not really, it really strips away your voice. And at the end of the day, American citizen privilege when it comes to voting and things like that and election integrity should be upheld, right? Out of respect for the American taxpayer, out of respect for individuals who are doing the right thing and should not be oppressed when things aren't going their way when it comes to these politicians, right? Let the American people speak and let the American people decide. And you should be operating on behalf of American people. I believe once you become anti-American and treasonous when it comes to your policy making, and such as a politician that commits fraud and continues to commit this corruption and continue to fatten their pockets with money and self-enrichment, they should be removed immediately. There should be a bill policy with that. You have a responsibility, though, family, I'm saying, to believe it, right? You have a responsibility to believe it. And that's what we're seeing right now. Eventually, like I said, it comes out, a person will show you who they are, and it's up to you if you choose to believe it. The policies, the messaging, the contradictions is all lining up in a way that people can't ignore anymore. And that's why the clips like this are starting to resonate more, because folks are connecting the dots. They're realizing that the narrative is so doesn't match reality. And when that realization hits, it changes how you see everything. See, if you want to corner someone to actually challenge them to be able to substantiate their point even more, just sit there and actually reveal the truth, right? Truth trumps all. And she was cooking, because the simple fact is, no doubt about that, because what she said, what a lot of people are starting to think, but maybe haven't put into words yet. And once you see it, you just can't unsee it, right? The scales come off your eyes. And now it's like these Democrats want us to not believe in what we see. But anyway, family, I want to bring this all the way home, because this is really what everything we've been talking about points to. I want you guys to check this out.
The negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So you are right that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe. And it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
All right. You heard it plain and simple. The group that the Democrats seem to prioritize the most right now is not the American citizen, not the working class taxpayer, but people who are in this country illegally. And I'm going to say it clearly because people like to dance around the language. Illegal immigrants, individuals who have entered this country, United States of America, in violation of our laws. That is who their policies continue to center, protect, and elevate, while everyday Americans are left dealing with the consequences. And what's even more concerning is how many people still don't want to acknowledge that reality. You got folks, especially in certain communities, who have been loyal to the Democrat Party for decades. And a lot of times when it comes to growing up, you know, I have individuals who decide, my family members, to be Democrat, and that's their choice, right? Their privilege. But they also assume that just because, you know, in certain black families, you know, being a black culture, that you are supposed to just resonate with the Democrat Party because you're black. And they're out here defending policies that are actively shifting focus away from them. And this isn't new. There have been voices like Dr. Claude Anderson years ago warning that this exact shift was coming, that eventually the priorities would change, that political loyalty without accountability will lead to being taken for granted. And now we're seeing it play out in real time. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because at some point you have to stop voting based on tradition or emotion, is my point, and start voting based on results and priorities. Not expectations, or not cultural expectations, but actually do your research and do your due diligence and make your voice be heard based on you critically thinking for yourself in regards of policies, and let alone a politician that lobbies the best interest actually for the American people. You have to look at the agenda, not the slogans. And policies, actually look at policy, and this goes beyond one group, right? It's time to seriously evaluate what's being done, right? And in your name, right? Carrying your name, your legacy, and whether it's benefiting your communities, and especially those who identify as liberal or have family members who do, right? It's time to have some real conversations. And you could be a Republican too. It don't matter. Share the policy, share the outcomes, because the truth is this agenda, when it comes to the Democrat, but you just heard Democrats in particular, this agenda doesn't prioritize you either. It prioritizes a political strategy that revolves around expanding influence, not strengthening the foundation of the country. And at this point, they're not even trying to hide it anymore, as you see. It's out in the open. The focus, the language, the policies is all right there for anyone willing to look. So when you see clips like the ones we watched today, yeah, they might be funny. Yeah, they might go viral. Yeah, but there's also a window into a much bigger issue, an issue about priorities, about leadership, and about the direction this country is heading. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything we covered today? Do you see the same patterns, or do you think this is all being overblown? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real discussion about it. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear this, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss the next upload. As always, we just having a conversation. Peace.